Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, massive upset on the Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury undercard. Anthony Cacace knocks out Joe Cordina, stops Joe Cordina in the 8th round to become the new IBF Super Featherweight champion. By the way, what an amazing fight. This was a hell of a fight. Going into it, man, when this fight was announced, I really kind of was in a mindset, take it or leave it. I mean, I felt it was an okay fight. You know, Cacace's been a guy who's done well at domestic level for a long time, but we've never seen him above that level per se. So I expected him to go in there, you know, give it a good go, but ultimately come up short against a guy in Joe Cordina who's been at world level. But listen, he did more than give it a good go. He beat up Joe Cordina. Joe Cordina showed some really good toughness in this fight. Never say die attitude, but Anthony Cacace fought like a guy who wouldn't be denied, quite frankly. And he becomes another world champion from Northern Ireland, based out of Belfast. Great win for Anthony Cacace. You know, right from round one, I have to say, I really liked Anthony Cacace's attitude, and I liked how he started this fight. He wasn't overawed by the occasion. He wasn't overawed with the fact that he was the underdog going in, and he hadn't been at this level. He went in there, and straight away, you could see he was implementing his sort of game plan. He was willing to try and punch with Joe Cordina, who early on, you know, certainly had the speed advantage. But, you know, Anthony Cacace was fighting nice and compact, and he was firing the straight right hand at Joe Cordina, and he was finding a home for it. Joe Cordina was primarily looking for the left hook, and he was catching Anthony Cacace with it early on. First 2 rounds were really nip and tuck, in my opinion. I'd say Cacace was the aggressor, whereas Joe Cordina was the speedster, the guy who was like firing off like the quick punches and, you know, maybe even landing the more eye-catching shots. But round 3, man, you know, Cacace resumed to trying to hold center ring, trying to be aggressive, trying to, like, you know, make Cordina aware that he was there. And he landed a lovely left hook as Joe Cordina kind of kind of squared up. And Cacace landed a picture-perfect left hook. How it never dropped to Joe Cordina, I'll never know, because his head went in all kinds of crazy directions. But, you know, that really boosted Anthony Cacace, and he jumped on Joe Cordina. Cordina took a backward step, and Cacace just swarmed him and smothered him and just started throwing power punch after power punch, combination after combination. He penned Joe Cordina back. And then he landed a beautiful right uppercut as Joe Cordina was trying to adopt a high guard. Split the guard, bang on the chin, badly hurt Joe Cordina. Cacace follows up, lands a left hook. Joe Cordina gets dropped. Badly hurt, by the way. He face planted on the canvas. But he gets up and beats the count, but he's badly hurt. Cacace then dominates the rest of the round. He dropped, Cordina went down again, but he was kind of pushed down, but he was still hurt. Cacace landed some shots, you know, but Cordina was doing his best to survive, keep the guard up, duck below the waist, whatever he could do to avoid getting hit again, clinching, etc. And he saw his way out of the round. Cacace started round 4 strong, came out aggressive, once again trying to test whether Cordina was fully with it. Early on, it looked like Cordina wasn't with it, but he kind of regained his composure. I actually felt Cordina finished round 4 quite well. For a split second in round 4, Cordina dropped the high guard, and he kind of fought out of a low lead left hand, and he was looking more sharp in that stance. And George Groves made a good point. Sometimes fighting out of that stance is actually more comfortable. Sometimes you can be defensively more astute when you fight with a lead hand low, because you can see what's coming. Cordina's not used to fighting with a high guard, and he was doing that throughout this fight. It doesn't suit his style. It doesn't suit his movement or fluidity. I don't know why he was holding the high guard and allowing pressure onto himself from Cacace. That's Cacace's fight. But Cordina was doing it throughout the fight. When it turned into a bit of a war, he would just hold his high guard. He wasn't fighting out of a low lead hand that we're used to seeing from Cordina, half step back, none of that. He was keeping the high guard, and Groves made a good point when Cordina momentarily switched to that style towards the end of round 4. At the end of round 4, as I said, Cordina did pretty well. He finished the round well. And I think after that point, Cordina seemed to recover. And it seemed like at that point in time, Cordina wanted to prove he could fight Cacace's fight and sit in the phone box and trade. And he was having success in round 5, had some good success. Round 6, however, I felt Cacace started to get back on top. Once again, the uppercut would just pierce the guard of Joe Cordina, landing multiple uppercuts at the end of round 6, Cacace. And it's weird because Cordina said so Cordina's trainer, Tony Sims, he asked Cordina to do something, and I'm not sure what he asked, but Cordina replied with, "I can't do that." So maybe he was injured, maybe there was something wrong. But regardless, Cordina after round 6 to me looked like a sitting duck. The movement wasn't really there. He was adopting the high guard, trading with Cacace, and at times he was landing some lovely shots, but again, it was one of those fights where Cacace just wouldn't be denied. Felt he won round 7, despite Cordina's best efforts. And round 8 was where the fight ended. Once again, Cacace applying that pressure. Cordina's movement had drastically slowed by this point, as did his sort of reactions and things like that, his upper body movement. It all slowed. Cacace caught him with a lovely overhand right to the side of the head. It made Cordina do the stanky leg. The referee then jumps in and waves it off. Felt Cordina had enough, and given how round 6, 7 and 8, given how 6 and 7 went and how round 8 was going, I felt it was a decent stoppage. Cordina looked like he was spent, to be honest. Even to the point to where it seemed that the power on his punches had really depleted. Because he was catching Cacace with some good shots early, and he felt maybe they could do something if he keeps landing. But after round 6, I felt the power had kind of drained from Cordina's shots. But listen, man, Anthony Cacace defeats Joe Cordina, becomes the new IBF super featherweight champion. Great performance, man. Great performance. I thoroughly enjoyed the fight as well. It was a weird one. So it was one-sided, but at the same time, it was super entertaining because Cordina was always there. He was always trying his best to get something back. And he was landing shots, don't get me wrong. But again, Cacace just wouldn't be denied. Great fight. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Congrats to Anthony Cacace. Anyway, Beanie Guy Del Boy, peace.